Good morning, guys. It is Thursday, and today we are comparing fractions using symbols. So I know our great challenge with this is remembering which one is greater and which one is less. Remember, you don't actually have to know which one is which as long as you make sure that the mouth eats the bigger number. That is all that really matters. Because the mouth facing the bigger number, it means that, hey, this is greater than that. That's all the numbers are in. For example, here, if we're comparing 1 and 3, my mouth is going to want to eat 3 cookies, not 1 cookie. So I would say 1 is less than 3. If I have it the other way around, let me put a little circle here so we don't mix them up, and I'm comparing 3 and 1, oh my gosh, I just moved my thing. How did I do that? Huh. If I'm comparing 3 and 1, then the mouth eats the 3 that way. No matter what, the mouth eats the 3. You would say 3 is greater than 1, or 1 is less than 3. As long as you are worried about feeding the mouth as many cookies as possible, you are going to be just fine. So this says compare each fraction. And here we have 1/3 compared to 1/2. So we have some space under each one. And I'll go and I'll just do some little number lines underneath. If you want to go ahead and do your shapes, that is completely fine as well. So there's 1/2. There's 1/3. I can see that if I get half of a cookie, I get more than if I only get 1/3 of a cookie. Therefore, 1/2 is bigger. All right, now we have 3/4 and 2/4. Oh, this is nice because they're on the exact same denominator. So we know, guys. We know. Think about your siblings. Think about when you're watching your parents give them something and you're making sure that y'all are getting the same amount. We know that if they got 3 and you got 2, they got more. So when they have the same denominator, you can just compare the top number. When the denominators are different, we need to draw a number line or we need to multiply. All right, 5/6 and 5/8. This was a problem from yesterday. Some of y'all are going to be like, oh! But for people who do not immediately remember the problem from yesterday, let's go and let's take a look at it. So we have 2 options. We can either find a number that both 6 and 8 have in common, and we would list it by going, let me type it because it'll be a little neater. It would be 6, 12. My numbers aren't typing. That's 6, 12, 18, 24, and I could do 8, 16, 24. Okay, that seems like doing a lot. They don't have any numbers that are really close to each other. So I'm going to go and I'm going to stick with my number line. If you want to multiply to make them the same, go for it. That is absolutely something you can do. I just noticed they're a little far apart in this case. So it might be more math on both sides than I'm really interested in right now. Because this is a problem where we'd have to change both numbers, not just one. Like here on 6, for example, we'd only have to change one number if we multiplied, because 4 and 8 have something in common. 6 and 8, there's no way to make a 6 and 8. There's no way to make an 8 a 6. I'd have to manipulate both sides. When you have to manipulate both sides, that's when you kind of have to make that choice between, do I want to draw a number line or a shape, or do I want to do math to both sides? If you're comfortable doing the math to both sides, go ahead and do it. But remember, it is perfectly all right to do it this way as well. So we're looking at 6, so I need thirds, and then I'm going to divide my thirds in half because 3 is half of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have a third that's a little bigger than the other thirds because I noticed this one is small, and then everything else is kind of more in keeping. So I'm going to fix this one real quick because we know that fractions are supposed to be pretty even. I think if I move it like over here, it'll be better. All right, and 8ths. So half, then 4ths, then 8ths. So I'm looking for 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's 5, 6. and 5/8. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I see this is closer to 1 than this. Therefore, 5/6 is greater than 5/8. All right, let's take a look at a fourth and a third. Ooh, crooked line. Let's see if I can do better. Oh no, I was worse. Okay, straight line tool it is. There we go. So I'm dividing into fourths. So that means I do half and then half again. And then thirds. All right, here's 1/4. Something is really weird with my thirds. They were uneven. There we go. Here's 1/4. And here's 1/3. So I notice that my third is larger than my fourth because, again, think about sharing something with 3 people versus sharing something with 4 people. The more people you have to share something with, the less of whatever it is you're going to get. If you order a pizza and that is your pizza, you're not sharing it with anyone, you have the entire thing. If you're sharing it with another person, then you each get half. If you're sharing it with 3 people altogether, you and 2 other people, you only get a third. There's another person, now you're only getting a fourth. You're getting less and less pizza each time. All right, we have 2/3 and 2/3. So remember, that equal sign is a thing. And we are just going to go ahead and be like, yep, 2/3 and 2/3, they are the exact same fraction. All right, here we have 3/4 and 3/8. So I know that 4 and 8 have something in common. I know I can turn a 4 into an 8. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. I'm going to multiply to turn my 3/4 into 8s and see what fraction I get. So I would multiply by 2 to get 8. What I multiply the bottom by, I must multiply the top by. Every time you are converting a fraction, you will always multiply by the same number on top and on the bottom, and then you go straight across. 3 times 2 is 6, and 4 times 2 is 8. So this is really, I'm going to put a little X there so I can kind of keep it in my head. This is really 6/8 and 3/8. Again, I'm looking for what's greater. So if I have 6 out of 8 pieces, I have more than 3 out of 8 pieces because 6 is greater than 3. So I would feed the mouth the 6 out of 8 pieces. All right, I am slightly blocking. So let me move my little thing out of the way. All right, 3/6 and 3/8. Ooh, 3/6 is a special fraction. I'm going to put a little star by it. Think about the relationship. Wow, that was supposed to be a star. It's something, guys. It's something. So 3 and 6 have something special going on with each other. 3 is half of 6. So this means this fraction is actually equal to 1/2. 3/6 is the same as 1/2. You are halfway there. You have half of the pieces you need. 3/8. I don't think that that's having half. I'm going to check it because I know that half of 8 is actually 4. Let me go and move my 1/2 so that I have a little more room to work this out because it's going to have 8 pieces. There we go. That should be a bit better. So that would be half, fourths, and then each one in half again. Now we have 8ths. 1, 2, here's 3/8. And we can immediately tell that's not a half. That is less than half because this would be a half mark right here. We do not have a half. We know that 3/6 is the same as 1/2. Therefore, 3/6 is greater. All right, let's take a look at 2/4 and 2/3. Oh, we have another special fraction. Look at the relationship between 2 and 4. 2 is half of 4. 2/4 and 1/2 are the same fraction. Again, they are equivalent. See, I can make this bar a little shorter because halves and thirds, or fourths and thirds aren't so bad. All right, fourths first. And then thirds. So 1/4, here's 2/4. Let me label my 0 and my 1. I left that off on the last fraction. Oops. There we go. Now they're there. And now let's take a look at 2/3. 2/3 is almost to 1, but 2/4 is only halfway to 1, or a little less than halfway with my crooked number line. But, now it's fixed. So it's half to 1, more than half to 1. 2/3 is greater than 2/4. 1/2 to 1/2, these are the same. They are equal. 2/6 and 5/6, we have the same denominator. So here I only have 2 of the pieces. Here I have 5 of the pieces. If your sibling got 5 Skittles and you only got 2, you definitely got fewer or less Skittles. All right, 7/8 and 4/8. Now the tides have turned. You are the one who has 7 M&Ms. They only have 4. You have more M&Ms than they do. The denominators are the same, so we're just comparing who has more of the pieces now. 1/3 and 2/3, the denominators are the same. They have 1/3 of a pizza. You have 2/3 of a pizza. You have more pizza. All right, what strategies did we use to solve these problems? So I don't have a capital letter, oh my gosh. We drew number lines and multiplied. Those were our 2 strategies. That's how we compared our fractions. All right, guys, I will see you at our class meeting at 10 o'clock.